Supply chain management is about managing chain of supplies. One small disruption to the supply chain can quickly wreak havoc on the entire supply chain. In this S&P Knowledge series, let's discuss the topic supply chain disruptions and resilience. Authored by S.N. Panigrahi, Certified PMP, Author Training Partner ATP, Instructor PMI, USA, Fellow Institution of Engineers, FI Chartered Engineer. GST and International Business and Projects Consultant. National Council Member, IIMM. Let's first understand what is supply chain disruption. A supply chain disruption is any event that causes sudden change or crisis, be it local or global, that severely impact the supply chain activities, processes, and operations. Supply chain disruption is defined as a major breakdowns in the supply, production or distribution or any stoppage of activities in a supply chain that challenges the ability of a business to plan, source, make, deliver or sell and distribute products and other transactions when an external force acts upon beyond the control of the business. As a result of supply chain disruptions, supply chain risks may arise in sourcing, purchasing, production, sales or distribution of products or services and various other associated functions. Now let's discuss what is risk. Risk can be characterized as uncertain future event that if occurs has either positive or negative outcomes. That means there are two sides to risk. Positive or favorable impact on objectives, also called as opportunity, and negative or adverse impact, that is threat. In this video we shall discuss about adverse impacts that risks the supply chain. Supply chain risk management become a top priority agenda of all types of organizations, especially in recent times, because of a series of events which disrupted supply across the world, resulting in losses of millions as supply stoppages, cost volatility, loss of sales, non-compliance fines, and the related incidents that cause damage to the organizational image and brand, customer loyalty and reputation. Supply chain risk is any unforeseen event or anything that interrupts, disrupts, or impedes to the flow of supplies, goods or services, or information flows from the point of origin to the destination point, that is from the original supplier, till it reaches to the ultimate end user. Such disruptions may have severe negative consequences for the management of supplies, operations, and distributions. Some of the risks which may emerge in supply chain and business are charted below. People, policy, process and procedural related risks. Demand, supply forecasting and planning risks. Market, supplier, channel partners risks. Natural disasters, strikes, war and terrorism, pandemic risks. Technology, data integrity and cyber security risks. Legal, regulatory and compliance risks. Socio-political, cultural, economic and ethical risks. Health and safety, service level risks. Environmental, weather and climate risks. Performance risks. Scope, schedule, quality, delivery and financial risks. Likewise, many supply chain risks may occur which may disrupt the supply. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted lives across all the countries and communities and negatively affected global economic growth in the last couple of years, and still continuing with one wave after the other and one variant after other. In World Economic Outlook, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) estimated global businesses lost an estimated $28 trillion in 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic. During the COVID period, all is not well and still future is very uncertain, with many latest events rocking the global supply chains. Russia-Ukraine war, sanctions on Russia, combined with political and economic disturbances in many countries, China-US. Trade war and many associated events worldwide have triggered disruption of the global supply chain and continuing. On the supply side, shortages reflect lingering disruptions to labor markets, production, distribution and supply chain bottlenecks, disruptions in global energy markets, and shipping and transportation constraints that are adding to inflationary pressures. Though some economies started recovering, but resurgence hopes are getting doped with reoccurrence of COVID again in major parts of China and other countries. The COVID-19 pandemic is again rearing its head again after a lull, with both China and Europe reporting a rise in cases, according to media reports. The recent lockdowns imposed by China to battle another wave of the coronavirus pandemic and tough lockdown measures at its key manufacturing hubs in Shenzhen, Dongguan and Changchun as well as at Shanghai will again disrupt already disturbed and distorted global supply chains and hit steel, automobile, electronics, FMCG, pharma, food companies and plaguing all and many more industrial and service sectors across global economy. All the supply chain targets and measures gone awry. Government regulations, restrictions for mobility, lockdowns, increased border controls and customs regulations, shortage of containers and shipments result in longer wait times, and lack of capacity for long-haul and last-mile fulfillment etc. Apart from overall economic slowdown, short supplies, labor non-availability, health issues and severe financial crisis created extreme challenges of keeping the businesses running and keep them stable. Consequences of supply chain disruptions. Supply chain disruption may lead to risks in terms of delivery, quality, costs, service, supplier and customer relationships. These factors reflect as decreased productivity, increased costs, non-availability of inputs and raw materials, delayed deliveries or non-deliveries, stockouts and loss of revenue, as well as loss of customer trust, rising customer dissatisfaction, cash flow and financial problems, closure of businesses or insolvency, and more, and many economic fallouts. The increased frequency, or incidences, and the severe consequences, of the recent past, and ongoing supply chain disruptions, have resulted in disastrous, and devastating, impact on global trade so that it has exposed the fragility of the supply chain, and proved to be a real test of corporate ingenuity, resilience and flexibility to face the crisis. Therefore, an increasing interest, and necessity, become evident in managing risk and putting in place an effective, supply chain risk management governance, and mitigation mechanism, for businesses to build time-relevant short or long-term resilience in their value chains for managing future challenges. Supply chain resilience. Resilience is a crucial characteristic of any business to sharpen the focus and create an environment to combat uncertainties in the event of adversities and difficult situations. Supply chain resilience is about a systematic process of managing and adapting to the unknown across the whole spectrum of risk, its dynamics, complexity, and uncertainty in supply chains. It is the ability of a supply chain to both resist disruptions and recover operational capability after disruptions occur. That means having the capability to resist or even avoid the impact of a supply chain disruption, and the ability to quickly recover from a disruption. Supply chain resilience refers to an organization's ability to use its resources to handle unanticipated supply network disruptions. In other words, it is the ability to respond to and recover from challenges without disrupting operations or deadlines. Supply chain risk assessment process. Supply chain risk assessment process is a systematic approach, having following 8 steps as follows. 1. Analyze business and business environmental factors. 2. Map supply chain network with risk factors. 3. Identify and assess risks. 4. Find critical supply risk factors and analyze impact. 5. Develop strategy and action plans. 6. Implement and institutionalize best practices and strategies. 7. Review risks periodically and take corrective preventive actions. 8. Good governance and continuous improvement. Build a supply chain risk management framework. Your strategy. Let's now discuss some important strategic and tactical action points to address the supply disruptions by adopting concept of supply chain resilience. First, develop risk response plan. Strategy. Introduce agility into supply chain. The agile supply chain basically refers to the use of responsiveness, competency, flexibility, and quickness to manage how well a supply chain entity operates on a daily basis. Agile supply chains can adapt to meet unpredictable customer demand in a rapidly changing and volatile trading environment. Agile supply chains have the capacity to produce a broad product range with a fast turnaround time. Create a supply chain emergency contingency plan, carefully document all processes and create a single source of truth that employees can refer to when executing on your contingency plan. Avoid single sourcing, and shift to alternative sourcing, or multi-sourcing. With multiple suppliers, monitor potential disruptive risks, and develop alternate sourcing strategies for critical items. Businesses should take the consideration and responsibility of creating strategic cost-benefit analysis on the additional cost of sourcing from other suppliers, supply sourcing areas or nations. Identify alternative, or backup suppliers. Create a plan B, plan C, plan D, and so on. Diversify supply base and supplier network so that you aren't reliant on a single supplier, and from single geographical location. Qualification of more suppliers. Assist to critical suppliers to qualify as pre-qualified suppliers. Avoid single country focus, like China-centric. Plan for suppliers from different geographical locations. Shift from offshore, global sourcing, to nearshore, local and nearby countries, to sureshore. Sureshoring is the ability to source goods or services from multiple locations so as to avoid having a single point of failure. Diversify customer base. Domestic market, exports, customers from different regions or groups. Develop stronger association with supply chain partners. Good supplier relationships create opportunities. Especially strengthen logistic service capabilities with stronger tie-ups with logistic partners. Also evaluate alternative logistics options and prepare for potential channel shifts. Create backup plans and test for suppliers' outage. Create backup plans like in-house manufacturing if possible or alternative manufacturing methods. Build up inventory. Build buffers for inventory and capacity. Pause just-in-time (JIT) approach for time being and shift to just-in-case (JIC). JIT operations receive inventory only as it's needed for production pull system, whereas JIC stocks up inventories ahead of time, based on certain forecasts push system. This move expands companies' focus from optimizing efficiency to managing risk. Empower employees to make decisions. Faster, swift and informed decisions. Establish a crisis response team to make critical decisions in the event of an emergency. Digitalize supply chain. Integrate a digital system into your supply chain, which will enable it to be demand-driven. With the use of a digital system, you can respond to sales and customer demand faster and adjust your value chain based on these sales. Improve supply chain visibility. Increase use of advanced data analytics to improve the efficiency of supply chain management. Have end-to-end visibility is important to dig down the details. Align IT systems and support to evolve work requirements. Supply chain visibility is the ability to track different goods and/or products in transit, in the inventory or in the process. Giving a clear view of the inventory, production scheduling, material movement and tracking, customer services, and proactive status updates. Stay up to date on current events, and adapt your contingency plan accordingly. Establish timely communication with key customers, suppliers and other stakeholders. Conduct a supply chain vulnerability audit. Audit suppliers and service providers based on their disaster plans. Institutionalize good practices. Good governance and regular reviews. Build a risk-aware and resilience culture. Culture binds an organization, blending its DNA, legacy, mission, processes and leadership, acts as a key lever during crisis, enabling collaboration, and taking informed decisions, timely and proactively. Resilience culture opens up people's mind to different tactics and strategies to tackle difficult and uncertain situations. Supply chain resilience requires a risk-aware culture to help an organization establish and maintain strong defensive layers against unknown risks, as well as respond more quickly in the event of a severe crisis or operational threat. Build supply chain talent. Risk awareness culture and ability to face risks and quickly respond to risks isn't built overnight. Businesses must nurture it through educating employees, critical suppliers and important stakeholders, provide training on ability to face disruption and how to react and find contingencies. Prepare succession plans for key executive positions and develop and encourage multi-skilling to avoid single point of failure. These are some of the tips you may adopt as suitable to your business situation and changing environment. Do you find the presentation informative and useful? If yes, then click like and also subscribe the channel for free to receive updates. Thank you. For more details contact SN Panigrahi at the below contact details.